This is Amy Sermon with Max Knowledge, and I'm speaking today with Dr. Blake Faulkner, President and Chief Operating Officer of Pinnacle Career Institute System. Blake, thanks so much for joining me.
Well, thank you.
Well, we're going to be talking a bit today about the importance of developing a management and leadership pipeline within your career college. And Blake, I know this is a topic of particular interest to you. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and why the interest in this topic?
Yeah, I've spent my entire career in higher education and spent the last 16 years really growing and expanding higher ed organizations and really focusing on quality and sustainable growth. And the one thing that's become really relevant to me and clear is that the really key to that is developing people within the organization and developing managers and leaders that allow you to support quality and sustainable growth. And that is something that's become a passion of mine, and a lot of my time is spent on that each and every day, is how do we do that better and better.
So for a first natural question as an extension to what you were just talking about, can you tell us a little more about why developing managers and leaders is so important to the growth of college?
Yeah, I think a couple different reasons. I think, first off is that, we're in the people improvement business. And if you look across higher ed and read all of our mission statements, you could condense it down most of the time to that one thing. And I think when you're in the people improvement business, making sure that you've got management and leadership that supports that mission really becomes critical to your success. I think the other thing in seeing organizations grow from one or two or three campuses into multiple locations and scaling online programs and scaling into international markets, when you look at that, fundamentally to spread and support that organizationally, you have to have people in management leadership positions that can make decisions that are consistent with the organization's mission and core values. And so really those two factors to me kind of drive the importance of the development of folks.
Very good. Can you get into maybe some of the potential pitfalls that a school could experience in trying to properly develop their managers?
Yeah, I think some of the pitfalls that I see, I think there's really three areas of management development that I think are really critical. I think, one is there's the functional area training that needs to be done, and that's training people in the nuances of admissions and marketing and financial aid and those types of things organizationally that typically we're pretty good at doing. But in addition to that, I think just the general management and leadership and supervisory training is something a lot of times we don't pay as much attention to. The third thing I think is just especially in a scaling and growing organization like ours, is that you really also want to make sure that the core values, that the mission and the core values and the culture, the organizational culture that you want to create and to permeate as you grow, that you're taking the time to train and work with the people in the organization and the future managers and leaders to make sure that that's clearly understood and that people understand and act in the culture. And here we really focus on a collaborative culture. Our planning and our whole process involves everybody in the institution in that, because we think we need those great ideas and we need that involvement of folks in the process. So those are other pieces to the training that I think a lot of times are left behind. The other pitfall that I think often happens in organizations is a lot of times we take really talented people that have performed well individually as an admissions representative or as an instructor, and we move those quality people into management or supervisory positions.
Yes.
Without taking the time a lot of times to really look at what the really taking the time to look and say, okay, in making that change, do they have the background and experiences to do that? And if
Sure.
not, to provide them the training and the development and help them make that transition into those positions.
Very good. You shared a little bit of best practices related to what you're doing at Pinnacle. Anything else you'd like to share related to best practices?
I think really I think the underwriting things. I think that a lot of time it's just that we need to be more thoughtful about what we're doing and provide better training and support to future managers and leaders in the organization. And I think that fundamentally is the difference. I think a lot of times, especially when you're growing and developing as an organization, there's a tendency to look past that because of the urgency of the moment. And I think
Sure.
over time, and I really think the one thing that I've learned myself is that it's not. I used to coach college football years ago, and the one thing there is it was, you can write X's and O's on a paper on how a play ought to work, but the play doesn't work if you don't have the right players working together. And
Sure.
really, organizations are the same way. It's no different in organizations. You're really talking about the same things. You've got to have the right people aligned with your strategies and serving students, or it's not going to work very well.
Sure. Are there potentially other challenges that schools may face in trying to develop their managers?
I think one of the biggest challenges, particularly in small and mid-sized organizations, is I think that just to have the resources available to do it is sometimes difficult to do. A lot of times you just don't have the manpower or the fiscal resources to do it the way you want to, or it may, to do it for a smaller number is a lot different than when you're doing it for hundreds, as you might in a larger
Sure.
organization. So I think one of the challenges is being able to do that internally all by yourself. And I think that's a spot where Max Knowledge, and in our sector, in higher education, folks like Max Knowledge and other providers that have key pieces to that, the Max Knowledge Management Development Program, the faculty development, those things I think allow you to really move forward effectively and quickly, and you tag onto that some of your internal functional training and other pieces that you may be able to get there quicker and more effective than trying to do it all internally when you're a smaller organization. So I think that would be the case.
Wonderful. Well, our interviews are short, Blake, as you know. Before we wrap up, are there other things you'd like to share related to management development and your experiences?
Really not. I think I just think I guess the only other thing I would add is I think in our my experience with that is that I think a lot of your people that you're growing internally, the commitment that they have to your organization, that you're willing to invest in them, I think really builds a lot of commitment to the organization and to the students that you're serving. At the same time, bringing people from outside the organization in from other sectors, if you're bringing them from healthcare, from the IT field, other sectors that they've worked in, a lot of times they're bringing in a lot of really fresh ideas. And a lot of those industries have matured and done things that we're currently going through in higher ed. So
Sure.
I think that perspective is important. But at the same time, those folks are going to need training on education and specifically who and what we are and that people improvement business. So I think either way, I think the development needs are the same.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. Well, Blake, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights related to management development. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.